What a time to be alive. At the time of recording, the Switch is in its final days as Nintendo's mainline console, and there are Switch 2s just sitting in the back of Best Buys, waiting to be burgled. I, as many of you, have been thinking back and reminiscing on all the best times I had with the Switch. And while I'd like to tell you that my time with my Nintendo Switch has been similar to like a caveman discovering fire, or walking into a Bass Pro Shop pyramid, it really wasn't. It was more similar to something like the Holy Grail from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, where it was mostly dusty from lack of use. Groundbreakingly amazing in some ways, while groundbreakingly limited in others. But hey, no better time than now to reminisce about Nintendo's best console. It feels strange to say that I purchased my Switch in 2017 just to play Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild, but it's true. I had never played a Zelda game previously, but based on the accolades that both Odyssey and Breath of the Wild had received, I just knew that they were must-play games. And that's kind of all my Switch was for a while. It was the Mario and Zelda machine. My brother really gravitated towards Breath of the Wild and the freedom that game provides a player, and I dove in hard with Mario Odyssey, excited to finally be playing a Mario game in what felt like forever. I slowly began to branch out and try new games based off recommendations I saw on YouTube or my own awareness of the games industry expanding. This early period was primarily all about Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild, but it's also marked in some ways by games like Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker and Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening. If Breath of the Wild was a main factor for me getting a Switch, it was the long wait for Tears of the Kingdom that kept the Switch relevant to me. With the PS5 releasing in 2020, and with buzzwords like teraflops and SSD, the Switch being a notably underpowered machine was not helping its prospects of ever becoming my main driver. But there were still many great experiences I had on it. This period of the Switch was marked notably by indie games or smaller games that ran well on the Switch. And that's true for a lot of people's experiences, I would say, that if they had multiple systems, they tried to play a lot of indie/smaller titles on the Switch because the console just feels more suited for that experience. This big wait for Tears of the Kingdom was marked by Nintendo games like Super Mario 3D All-Stars, Metroid Dread, and Mario Maker 2, indies like Celeste and Hollow Knight, and smaller games like Tetris 99 and Sonic Mania. The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom is one of my favorite gaming experiences of all time, and definitely my personal highlight for the Switch console experience. The lead up to that game, whether it's the long wait for the second and third trailer, the delay of the title reveal because the Queen died, or the game's release date landing on my brother's birthday, it was all iconic. The lead up, though, was incomparable to what it was really like to play the game on your own TV. While not a perfect game in many aspects, Tears of the Kingdom is incredible in so many ways. Be that what we knew about the game going into it, like the insane mechanics they were adding, like Ultra Hand or Fuse, that let you do either the coolest thing or the dumbest thing, or it was all the hidden stuff that I'm not going to talk about here because that authentic, organic level of experiencing it, that is what made Tears of the Kingdom such a highlight for me. So yeah, the Switch went out with a bang with Tears of the Kingdom. It just also took 2 years after Tears of the Kingdom for the Switch 2 to finally come out. We are on the doorstep of a brand new console generation, and the energy is palpable. And I think I'll be using my Switch 2 a lot more than I used my Switch 1, and that all has to do with parameters. There's no cooler vibe than rigid structure, am I right or am I right? For years I had struggled between buying a game for Switch or PlayStation, because both had their pros and cons. But once I got a PC, and after the initial excitement of, quote, I'm only going to play games on PC wore off, the lines for what games I should buy where became very clear. The line I have made for Switch has already been set by my history with the previous console. But to buttress it here, it is either going to be those Nintendo Switch exclusive games, or it's going to be those smaller indie-esque experiences that I feel were made with the Switch in mind. I'm very excited for the Switch 2. I hope you are as well, and I'll see you then. Marvel's Vampire console. call that a switchblade. Console that turns on and off, call that a light switch. The Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, I'm thinking on
Nintendo Switch.
A farewell to ARMS.